I think people have this misconception that it was fun and very profitable to tour. Let me tell you, I was in the Free State, in this little town called Villiers, and it's in the middle of nowhere, literally. I had no idea that I was going to tour with the Titanic. I mean, I'd built this big boat. I'd worked with the Titanic artifact exhibition in Rosebank and in Cape Town for a series of 8 months. I'd worked with real artifacts from the wreck of the real Titanic, and it wasn't going to get any better than that. So I thought. I was basically left for dead in the Free State because there were all these deals that were arranged and, contracts and stuff. And when we launched Tintanic in June of 2017, we made the announcement that the Titanic was going to be touring to places like Dubai and Amsterdam and wherever else you can think of, because that was on paper what the deal said. Of course, it just all faded into oblivion. I literally felt abandoned. I just thought, well, what now? Initially, I thought about the Titanic being more than just a boat. Can this potentially be a viable exhibition on its own? Of course, I had to build things for the boat to go along with it, but I've always had this image in my mind of what it should look like. It should be surrounded by cabinets, and it should have chains around to form a barrier so that people don't just come up to the boat and take a lifeboat or pick a little figurine off the decks. So I had to build all these extra things for the Titanic to make it an exhibit. I contacted the closest mall, which was in the next neighboring town of Heidelberg, and I had a meeting with Lebogang Legwale. It's amazing I still remember her name and surname because it's got stuck in my mind that this was a person that really kicked it all off for me. Lebu was interested on the phone and she was like, yeah, that sounds great. Can you maybe come in for a meeting like in the next hour or half an hour or so? And I was like, yeah, great. I'll get in the car. I'll come and see you. And I came through the Heidelberg Mall and we had the discussion and looked at possible placement where we could put it. Now, the only available space that they had for the Titanic was down in the basement. And this is a place that you go down the escalators and you get to the bottom. It leads out to the parking area, but there's no shops there. It hadn't been developed yet. I said to her, well, I just want to try out this exhibit. I want to, we need some sort of format of an exhibit which is going to showcase to other potential clients that it's a viable marketing tool, that it attracts people, and that it does good for local business and historical interest. So they gave me the space in the basement. I worked tirelessly with a little team of people to build this boat throughout the night. I mean, mind you, this is the first time that we're moving Titanic, so I had no idea how long it was going to take, how much work we're going to have to put in, and it basically took the whole night. But I remember thinking at 2 a.m. the night before the Titanic arrived at Heidelberg Mall, what if people think it's amateur, it's not good enough? I mean, this isn't exactly James Cameron's Titanic. What is Tin's role going to be? Is she going to be accepted? Are people going to understand it? Are they going to appreciate it as art, or are they going to think it's a lot of junk? Well, the next morning at 9 a.m., we were doing the finishing touches to the exhibit, and in walks the first customer, and I will never forget it. This lady walks up to the exhibit and she goes, "Are you selling it?" Well, I was finished because, I mean, that was not what I planned. I mean, at this time as well, I mean, I'd relocated from Villiers to Heidelberg, which is only like a 30-minute drive. But I remember packing up my whole car. Everything went in. Everything I could think of that I'm going to need on tour. I'm going to tour. I packed my clothes. I packed up my entire Titanic collection because I'm going to be like, studying on the tour, while I'm touring. I'm going to be reading a lot. I had my bedside tables were loaded in the car. And I'm setting out on this adventure. And I drive in my little car with the wind in my hair and the spunk in my step. And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, I'm touring. I'm finally getting out. It's like Schitt's Creek. That's how it happened. And I got to Heidelberg Mall the first morning. And with this first customer saying this, I was like, okay, now I know I'm going to be okay. She was such a hit. Everybody loved her. Knew that she was down in the basement. But at one point, I took the marketing manager, Lebu, I took her down the escalator and I said to her, look, okay, see, here's the boat downstairs. We've got like 3 people looking at it. No. I said, let me show you upstairs. So I took her up the escalator. I said to her, what do you see? And as we reached the top of the escalator, which is the upper level of the mall, there were just thousands of people. I said, you see, this is the problem here. These people are all looking for the Titanic and they can't find it. So I think we need to move it upstairs. But moving it upstairs was a lot more difficult than, we thought, because she was like, yeah, you can just pop it in the lift. I'm like, nah, it's a bit big for the lift. So we literally had to get another bakkie and a trailer, and we had to load it up, take it around the mall on the upper level, and reinstall it on the upper level. It was really, a lot of work. I mean, there was no plan. I mean, we just got there and thought, well, we're going to display the boat. And I thought that we'd be there for at least 3 months, a year, whatever, and that was the idea. And we weren't getting paid for this. I still said, I don't know how the hell we're going to make money out of the Titanic. I went home the first day for a nap because I was exhausted. And my assistant, my poor assistant, Andre Sutherland, he was a fearless, assistant when it came to taking on any kind of, work that needed to be done around the boat. And he stood watch the first day. And when I came back from my nap in the afternoon, I still lamented and said, I don't know how the hell we're going to make money out of this. And he said, Gino, there's 1 million people who took a photograph of the Titanic. And I was like, wow, that's the ticket. That's the ticket. That's the thing. That's what we're going to do. If you're going to make money out of Titanic, if 1 million people took a photograph, you just charge R1 for every person who took a photograph. You'd be a millionaire. So, I have always had a thing about copyright, and copyright is very important as an artist. I always feel that every work of art has been worked on by somebody, and that somebody, the artist, needs to be compensated for it somehow. I mean, we weren't being paid to be at Heidelberg Mall. Touring was still a very new concept. I mean, we did initiate, a 10 Rand donation fee where people could pay us 10 Rand and then they can take as many photographs as they want of the model. And that was fine by me. But it backfired in a few ways because, you always get these people who come and they're so stingy. They won't take out 10 Rand, 2 5 Rand coins or something like that, and just give it to you and go okay, here's my royalty fee. No, they come and steal the photographs, hide around corners and be sneaky about it, wait until there's nobody there on a Sunday afternoon, then come into the mall and take all the photographs that they want. That was really a breach of copyright for me. And I really felt that, okay, well, it is in a public space. There's a little bit of, gray area here. It's not all just black and white. I do want to say that, in the first month that we were at Heidelberg Mall, we made 10,000 Rand just in royalty photographs. You had to kind of figure the stuff out as you went. After 3 months at Heidelberg Mall, I was like, oh, what now? Because now the photographs are drying up. Everybody's seen it. It's becoming stale and becoming part of the woodwork. I really needed to come up with a way. And I really actually, with a heavy heart, I said to Lebu, look, it was great. Thanks, while it lasted. But I think we need to move this boat out of this mall. We arranged for the closure of Tintanic at Heidelberg Mall. Now, while all this is going on, I'm already planning a tour, and I wrote it down in an email, and this email was making the rounds. It was basically copy and paste with attachments, and I sent it all out, to all these various malls. And my first target was Mall at Carnival. I'd approached them with the concept, and we'd done the preliminary, we've done the debut, we've done the introduction, and it worked. We got some media attention, we got some visitors from very far and wide. People from Pretoria traveled all the way out to come and see the Titanic, ahead of our arrival on the Gauteng circuit. We moved Titanic out into a storage barn somewhere in Balfour, which was so random. I was staying out there, in the Free State. So this is all still Free State. It's bordering the cusp of Gauteng. The boat went into storage, and it was probably sitting there for about 2 or 3 months. And while, these negotiating deals were happening in the background, and, I really felt, at some point, I felt so useless. I felt that, I wasn't good enough. I was out of ideas already and the ship wasn't moving. I mean, this is, is this the fate? Are we just going to sit in some barn? I must tell you this story. And I had a friend whom I was staying with at the time who said to me at one point when things were getting really dark and gloomy for me, said, no one is ever going to pay you to look at this thing.